Higher 11s and 12s. Continuing on, we looked at prokaryotic cells in the last video. We're moving on to eukaryotic cells now. One difference between these two videos that we're going to be talking about. With prokaryotic cells, there's only so much you can talk about. They're a very simple structure. We also added on, we talked about binary fission. In this PowerPoint, in this ultrastructure of cells topic, we're not going to really talk about the cell division of eukaryotic cells. That's mitosis and meiosis. We'll do that separately in its own topic later on in the coming weeks. So for this one, just looking at eukaryotic cells, and that's it. So starting off, obviously we've got the eukaryotic cells. Now there are two diagrams over here that you will need to draw. The top one is a plant cell, and the bottom one is an animal cell. So eukaryotic cells, we can take away straight away, found in plants and found in animals. Now the eukaryotic cells as well, they've got a much more complicated internal structure than prokaryotic cells, and that's because they're compartmentalized. Each partition or organelle is separated by a single or double membrane, and they are the main key differentiating feature from eukaryotic to prokaryotic cells. So only eukaryotic cells have these organelles. Most important of those organelles is obviously the nucleus. You're never going to use this term because it's not accepted in IB or SACE for that matter. The nucleus is the control center of the cell, and look, we never say that. But basically, this is where all the genetic information for the cell is stored, all the instructions of what to make protein-wise and how the cell is going to work. Just as organs in our human body are specialized, so are the organelles of eukaryotic cells, and every organelle has its own specific function. Now, as you can see, for example, there's some key ones that you've probably learnt in year 8 and 9, like chloroplast in a plant cell. Chloroplast is responsible for photosynthesis. Mitochondria, which is found in both plant and animal cells. Mitochondria is the site of aerobic respiration. Just as a hint here, you will never say the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. You will get no marks whatsoever. You've got the Golgi body. You've got the rough endoplasmic reticulum, responsible for protein synthesis. Your smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Your nucleolus. You need to know what all of these do. Vacuoles as well. That's for plant cells. Then we go to animal cells. You've got the same thing. You've got rough endoplasmic, smooth endoplasmic reticulum. You've got your mitochondria, Golgi body, your nucleus, your lysosomes. Make sure you know what all of those are. I will upload a separate document onto Teams where you can download, and it just talks about what all the organelles are. We also have a little bit of video here talking about eukaryotic cells. This will go through all the organelles as well. I'm not going to play it here. I will put this on Doing Science Right, so you can watch that video below this one and get the information from that there. Moving a little bit on, so continuing on with eukaryotic cells, why is having compartments or organelles so much more efficient and make the cell so much more complicated? Well, for example, enzymes and substrates for a particular process can be concentrated in that specific organelle. So when we're talking about aerobic respiration, any enzymes or substrates that are required for that specific chemical reaction, they can be stored entirely in the mitochondria. Then we don't have to worry about having more concentrate throughout the entire cell. We know the concentration is needed in the mitochondria because that's where aerobic respiration is going to happen. It also means that substances that can cause damage to the cell, so wastes that are created through metabolism, can be kept in the membrane of that organelle. So for example, digestive enzymes of the lysosome are kept entirely inside the lysosome, so they're not going to destroy the rest of the cell. Each organelle can have its own specific pH, it can have its own specific conditions to make those conditions perfect for what that organelle is trying to do in that part, in the cell. Additionally, organelles can be moved around the entire cell with their components, so they don't have to always be in the one location. We can move them around the cell to different spots wherever they're needed. That's it for the eukaryotic cells for now. Let's move on to the next video.